So I got a new tattoo the other day. It feels a little weird though. I noticed these like black vines coming out of it last night. I'm hoping it's not like infected or something. Oh God! You bastards! Give me back my head! No, this is just my phone chainsaw. Yeah, no, that's fine. Hi, welcome to Bomb Squad Movie Night, episode 116. I am Tim M. Sullivan, no relation to Lily Sullivan, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Eric Estrada's lawyer, and I do not endorse using his last name to summon Kandarian demons.
I'm with the maggots now.
Steal my bit, why don't you?
Tim, part of me wants to believe you got the tattoo just for this bit.
Hi, I'm Tanner Richard Kraft.
And today we have a returning guest joining the illustrious Three Times Club.
I'm Toni Hopkins. Third time's the charm.
Today we are talking about the hit family film Evil Dead Rise, directed by Lee Cronin. He's mostly done short films and episodes of television. I think he only had one proper feature before this, which was an A24 film called The Hole in the Ground. So he's a relative up-and-comer. This, of course, is the second time that the Evil Dead franchise has been rebooted as a Western film after Fede Alvarez's movie from 2013. So our question to start this off is, what is your favorite horror remake / reboot? We're gonna start with Austin.
Oh, okay, look, I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel here. My answer is about as ordinary as they come. John Carpenter's The Thing is my favorite, and David Cronenberg's The Fly is my second favorite, so I'm gonna step down on my list one more slot and sing my praises for a much more polarizing film, the 2018 Suspiria remake.
You stole my answer!
Otherwise known as the world's craziest episode of Undercover Boss. One thing I adore in a movie is when it manages to go from zero to absolutely bonkers. When it lulls you into this false sense of security, then it hits you with images that would drive a Victorian child absolutely insane. I can't show you much from Suspiria's climax on YouTube because this film is very European with its nudity, but it's about as balls to the walls crazy as it gets. Beyond even that, it's an intelligent, haunting film that depicts a coven of witches in this like totally serious, terrifying way, which is refreshing considering how much media there is featuring goofy Halloween store witches. Best of all, because of this movie, Tom York produced two absolutely timeless tracks, Suspirium and Unmade, and the sequences in the film that they're used in are so tastefully done. As a longtime Radiohead fan, it felt like Christmas came early.
Do you listen to Radiohead? Uh-huh. Tom York.
So yes, if you're in the mood for something that's heinously f***ed up, even by horror movie standards, Suspiria should set you up nicely. Buckle up for the long runtime. I promise you the ending is unlike anything you've ever seen.
Hell yeah, Suspiria 2018 rules.
Finally.
Tony, do you have anything else you'd like to say about 2018 Suspiria?
Absolutely. No, I'm glad someone else appreciates it. I just really like it because it is totally different from the original. Because if you want like a campy giallo movie, you can watch Dario Argento's. And if you want a more like messed up, kind of grungier version, then you can watch Luca Guadagnino's. And I just love the imagery because it's like, it's all dark and gritty without being like super dark, like looking like visually.
There are two things that dance can never be again: beautiful and cheerful.
And also, I love a good quirky modern dance because it is super weird. As someone who is involved in the dance world. Modern dance looks weird, and I'm glad that we're putting that into the witchcraft format.
Awesome. All right, Tanner, we'll go with you next.
Before I answer this question, I want to preface this by saying that when this question was handed to me, it was not phrased as remake, it was phrased as reboot, and Tim gave me an out immediately, but decided to challenge myself and find an actual proper reboot. I failed.
No one's ever found it.
That's because it doesn't exist.
However, I found something that, in terms of this own franchise's wordings, is a requel. My answer to this is the 2022, no, wait, 2020, what year is, where am I?
2022?
2022, the 2022 Scream movie, okay, the new Scream movies.
Hell yeah.
They're my favorite Scream movies since the original. They lean more on the sequel aspect of it than the reboot aspect of it, but the first of these movies coined a term that I really love, requel, which describes everything that's been ripping off The Force Awakens in a way that I really appreciate.
You killed my best friend! Yeah, and you died like a pussy.
They are just as fun as those original movies. I think they capture the spirit of Wes Craven's original about as good as any of the ones he made, which are the other 4 movies. The newest one that came out just this year is actually my favorite Scream movie since Scream. A hot take around these parts apparently, but I stand by it. But yeah, that's my favorite horror reboot. Honorable mention to Halloween 2018 because it led to Halloween Ends.
Nice. Yeah, no, I dig the 2022 Scream a lot. 5 cream stands, rise up.
5 cream!
Joe V, what is your answer?
All right, so we're talking quality horror reboots / remakes here with Suspiria and the Scream movies. How do I top that? I don't, because I'm digging in the trash bin. My first answer, and I'm going to be brief about it, it's the 2009 Friday the 13th. Absolute dog shit, like in the screenwriting department, but all of those damn Friday the 13th movies are terrible in the writing department, and just everything else, you just go there to see Jason kill. You get exactly what the title promises and what the franchise promises. You also get a line so damn stupid as, "Oh wow, your tits are stupendous."
The only line I remember from that movie.
But the one that's actually a little bit more quality and honestly kind of goes a little bit more away from the horror genre. It's still kind of a horror movie, but it goes more in an action route.
Well. Let me guess. Spring cleaning.
And his name is John C. We're going to talk about the 1999 Stephen Sommers directed The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. It's an absolutely fun, swashbuckling time. Fraser's a wonderful swashbuckling hero. Rachel Weisz is a wonderful comedic romantic lead. The Mummy's f***ing terrifying. The visual effects don't really hold up, but honestly, it kind of makes it a little bit more creepy. It's a solid reboot, and it takes the original and just kind of plays with it and kind of updates it and makes it more fun.
Hell yeah, that is a creative answer, and I appreciate it. Solid picks all around. Kind of like what Austin said, The Thing is number 1 and The Fly is number 2. We already did a whole episode on The Thing, so I'm not gonna bore you with that. Go watch that instead. But I'm gonna use this opportunity to talk a little bit about the previous Evil Dead reboot, the 2013 one from Fede Alvarez.
Wow.
Which it is definitely a divisive movie. I think a lot of people either love it or hate it. I lean closer to the love it department. I think it's got a lot going for it that's really strong. It's a very intense movie. It does lose a little bit of the fun from the original trilogy, but I do think it has a lot of love for that original trilogy. They have little homages throughout the whole film. It's a good time. It's a fun time. The final battle, where it's just raining blood, is just the most incredible, like, boss fight, final fight of horror movie I've ever seen. It's just really intense. Definitely not for the squeamish, but if you can handle some like really intense, painful violence, it's definitely worth a watch.
Groovy.
Now, how did I feel about that one weighted against the new one, Evil Dead Rise? We'll find out after I hear from the rest of these guys. What are your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise? We will start with Tanner.
Oh, me. All right. When I saw this, Tim was surprisingly behind me. That was fun. Wow. What a picture. A lot of killing.
Love the killing.
I just need to get this off my chest right off the bat, which was when I saw the trailer for this and saw that it revolved around a family. I went, oh, so this movie's going to be like a dead mom tormenting her kids. But those kids, nothing's going to happen to them. Oh, they up 2 of these kids. They them the up. Holy that dude was eating glass. Oh, that sequence when everyone in the hallway's getting up with some Looney Tunes ass antics. Love that. Very violent, very gory, but it captures a lot of what my favorite 2 Evil Dead movies have, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the fun zaniness of it that was missing in the 2013 reboot. That's not to say the 2000 reboot is completely lacking in fun. The raining in blood sequence that Tim brought up, I don't know how you can watch it and not think it's at least a little fun, but I get why people don't think it's fun. This one, there were like a lot of humor. I loved Alyssa Sutherland's performance in the movie, just going all out for it. You almost forget about the fact that both of our leads have Australian accents. They're not very good at hiding.
What the f***, Caleb?
Oh, wait till you see the shot I got. You look like you were gonna brick out sideways.
You could have taken my head off.
It's my favorite Evil Dead movie since Army of Darkness, and a bit of a controversial take, my 3rd favorite Evil Dead movie overall, behind only Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. The sound of this movie and the way the camera moves is like, on a technical level, it's just really good. And for me personally, if I see a movie with better makeup this year, it'll be one of the best makeup jobs in a movie of all time, because the makeup in this movie is very stellar. It's my favorite horror movie of the year so far. A lot of killing. Back to you, Tim.
Hell yeah. All right. Joe, what are your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise?
Man, this was my favorite movie of the year for like a good couple of weeks, and then another movie we're talking about next week came out, but I f***ing loved this movie. I thought it was an absolute blast to see in the theaters. It's funny that Tanner brings up how good the sound design is, because he was giving me shit for one of my opinions about the sound design, which I believe is the sound design of this is the star of the movie.
Camera is...
Right out of the fucking gate, that sound design sets a tone. June's probably gonna take all of those fucking sound awards, and Evil Dead Rise won't get anything, which I think is bullshit. This deserves every sound award.
Open up now. Like a good girl. Come on now.
Do it for Mom and Dad.
Sounds great, camera's fucking great. Lee Cronin and Michael Bay, 2 directors who really fucking know how to use drones.
Oh, okay.
What were you thinking I was gonna say, Tanner?
For some reason, with the way that was going, I was like, did Michael Bay write this? Because there was a lot less racist stereotypes than I expected if Michael Bay wrote it.
No, Michael Bay did not write this picture. Performances are really fucking good. I will say, definitely not favorite character of the year. Megan kind of came in at the beginning of the year and just stole that award. However, best performance in any movie I've seen all year, like horror and otherwise. Alyssa fucking Sutherland as the mom in this steals the entire goddamn movie. She's fucking incredible in this. There's lots of fun little like horror nods from Evil Dead that you get in this, and honestly just horror movies. You can tell that Lee Cronin's a horror fan because there's like allusions to Alien, Aliens, The Ring. I don't think it's intentional, but I was getting some Silent Hill 4 vibes from the peephole shots. But as a horror fan, I'm just like, okay, this guy knows what he's fucking doing. He loves what he's doing. Overall fun time. Back to you, Tim.
Hell yeah. Tony, thoughts on Evil Dead Rise?
I freaking loved it. Like, I was in shock at the end. I saw it with my roommate and we were just sitting there taking it in. You guys have said like the camera, the sound, all of it. Especially the fact that they use so many split diopter shots. That specifically, like I was just like, oh, it makes my heart happy. Yeah, and it's like, it's funny, and I like how they use the kills and things like that creatively within the space they're in, because, you know, they're in a house, they're in a kitchen a lot, so there's a lot of, like, stuff, and then, oh yeah, the mom's a tattoo artist, so we gotta do something fun with that. It's like, it takes advantage of its setting and its limitations really, really well. And Alyssa Sutherland is Mother, and I love her posting all of her behind the scenes of like her doing all her stunts. Like it looks like she's having so much fun.
I also really like the like things she posted of her just like in the recording booth just making noises.
Yeah, where she's like just making all those noises. Yeah, there was a specific clip where she's holding on to the camera like she's on a pedestal and she's like holding it like this and moving it and the guy's like holding it up like this. And I was just like, it's nice to see a movie with like a bigger budget still doing those really simple like tricks. And it was like funny while also being genuinely like freaky. I had to look away at some parts.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I loved it.
Hell yeah. I believe what you alluded to is what I like to call Chekhov's tattoo gun. Austin, what are your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise?
You know, I took the time to watch everything that Lee Cronin has made since his breakout short film, Ghost Train. And every single short and feature afterward all have one thing in common. There's a hole with something f***ed up in the hole, and it's not friendly towards the children.
Yeah.
I've also been listening to his sort of like victory lap press tour that he's been doing over around Europe. They ask better questions than American journalists over there. He usually tells the same two stories. The first is that the first movie that ever frightened him was Jaws, specifically when Ben Gardner's head pops out of the boat, right? Then there's his story about The Shining, which is a little more relevant to my thoughts on this film. Apparently, when Lee was a little kid, maybe like 9 or something, very little kid, he saw The Shining on VHS, and it kind of rattled him a little bit, and then his old man came home and was like, oh, poor kid. Then his dad saw the VHS tape and was like, you know, I haven't seen The Shining since it was in theaters. I'm gonna watch The Shining. And our little dude Lee was up in his room, still being spooked, and through the walls of the house, our young director heard the movie through the walls, and it clicked in his head. He's like, oh, sound is a big part of what makes a horror movie scary. Now to the point, Evil Dead films are kind of like little bloody snowflakes. They're all unique. Each one excels at something kind of different at this point. And Evil Dead Rise, this newest one, to echo what a lot of you have said, excels at utilizing sound to scare the ever-loving shit out of you. For me, the sequence where Danny opens the book for the first time and you see all those blood drawings of torture combined with the score absolutely made my heart rate go up. Apparently, the composer made one of the tracks in this film just by like taking a knife and f***ing up the inside of a piano. So they were really creative with that.
2007!
Also, huge points for using Dance Yourself Clean by LCD Sound System in this movie. That band is f***ing aces. Beyond the incredible sound mix, it has a couple of other things that are unique additions for an Evil Dead film that I appreciated more than like full-on loved. As you may notice, none of these characters are Ash Williams. That's a tough pill to swallow. But when Lee Cronin was writing the screenplay, he based all these characters off of people he knew in real life. So they're actually very likable, because he's from New Zealand and not here. Which was refreshing, especially for the kids, because usually kids in horror movies are pretty f***ing annoying. Then there's the sleek modern cinematography. The film looks excellent, and I'm happy it had like a brief theatrical only release, because some of these compositions work extremely well on a large screen, specifically some of the shots of the book. I was a bit disappointed it wasn't super disgusting and f***ed up to the same extent that the 2013 film was. Some of the callbacks to other films felt kind of out of place for me. I wish a few of those other apartment residents could have had crazier death scenes, and the screenplay could have definitely fleshed out some of the character dilemmas more effectively. I think it lives up to the Evil Dead brand enough to ultimately be a really fun movie, but I think the direct-to-streaming origins may have tipped this in a less exciting direction than the previous theatrically oriented entries. None of what I just said matters, though. Evil Dead is leagues ahead of any other horror franchise in terms of sheer craziness, so grading these is kind of difficult. It was great, not amazing, but at the end of the day, still groovy.
Hell yeah. Groovy. Good thoughts all around. My thoughts are gonna basically echo all of yours. It's a great time. As far as like comparing it to the 2013 Evil Dead reboot, I do think that like it's less intense, but it does substitute that for just good old-fashioned fun. I think something that I appreciated about this is that it did kind of play with that tone in the way that at least the first two kind of did. I think it's more tonally tonally in line with the original, where it has humor, but it's a little more subtle, and that I think really works for me. And then I love that at the end of it, it just becomes a fucking monster amalgamation of all of the Deadites. Like, you don't see that shit in movies anymore. They got creative with that, and it rules. And I kind of agree with Austin that, like, some of the little homages felt a little forced. Like, I think when everybody in the hallway started saying Dead by Dawn, I was like, this is a little much, but I still love it. Like, just watching that trailer and hearing the record playing, just the Conda Estrada, I was like, oh, this is gonna rule. Just really captures what makes those original Evil Dead movies, which is the fun. But it does have a good bit of intensity. Like what we were saying, the kids get f***ed up. Like, you watch the trailer, you think they're gonna pull some punches, and they don't really. You see a kid swallow glass. That's a little intense. You see that same kid get impaled with wood.
Staffany, right?
Staffany. Yeah, Staffany to the rescue. I think I'll have more coherent thoughts when we go into general discussion. So right now we're gonna take a quick ad break, and we will be right back.
This movie f***ing sucks. What?
He's storming out. He's storming like he's 70.
I think someone got possessed during the movie. I think that's what happened. Yeah. What are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here.
And we're back from ads. Now for another ad. Do you like movies? Do you like colors? Specifically, do you like the color red for blood? Then do we have a product for you, moviepalette.com. It's a website where you can order little blocks of canvas that have thin lines that represent a frame from a film. I have one on my wall for the hit film Mandy. He has one on his wall for the hit film Punch Drunk Love. You could get one from any of the original Evil Dead movies, maybe the 2013 one, but you could get one for basically any movie you want to get. Even if they don't have it, you can get them custom made if you go to moviepalette.com. But if you use the promo code SQUAD15, you get 15% off your order. Now for some general discussion, and I would like to lead this off by going full Pepe Sylvia for a moment. This was a rant that I was originally saving for the Army of Darkness cast, but I figure this is an equally appropriate one to bring it up. So I have a headcanon about, like, the timeline of this movie. I think the timeline of the franchise forks in Army of Darkness because there are two endings. There's the S-Smart ending that everybody in America knows, and then there's the ending that a lot of people overseas know, where Ash sleeps too long and wakes up after the apocalypse has happened.
Right.
I think that Ash vs. Evil Dead takes place in the S-Smart ending universe, and the reboots take place in the apocalypse universe where Ash slept too long. Now that we're doing this thing where there's an Evil Dead movie coming out every couple of years with a new set of lead characters, I think what we do, here's my pitch. We do maybe 2 or 3 more, and then we have the Evil Dead Avengers movie, where Ash comes in back from the post-apocalypse world. He's got an eye patch. He's Nick Fury now for some reason.
Oh my God.
And he unites all of the protagonists to defeat the Deadites. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm into it. I have a question regarding your theory, Tim. Where does the Bruce Campbell cameo in this movie fit into this timeline? Where it might be Ash Williams in the 1920s.
So he has a cameo in the record. He's the guy who says it's called the Book of the Dead for a reason. Destroy it. And that may well be a thing where he was traveling in time and then he went too far back and ended up in the 20s or something. I don't know.
Or it's his grandpa, and the chin, like, just carries down generation after generation.
Yeah, the chin is genetic.
No. I like to think that Ash Williams is so damn stupid that he's continuously going back and forth through time and f***ing shit up because he's that damn dumb.
Me and the boys f***ing up the timeline. Call me Barry Allen the way I f*** this timeline.
At one point, Sam Raimi was going to make a movie that was tentatively titled Evil Dead 4, where the two Ashes from the two Army of Darkness endings would, like, communicate with each other, but the studio was just like, this is too convoluted and no one knows what the hell you're talking about.
Damn it, he was ahead of his time! Studios would eat that shit up now!
He's doing multiverse before the multiverse.
Before his multiverse of madness.
Apparently at South by, when they were doing a Q&A panel,
Yes.
the guy announcing it was like, no one's allowed to ask any questions about Doctor Strange 2.
Well, the question should only be relative to Evil Dead. Evil Dead Rise in particular. If you go astray and you say, Mr. Raimi, in Doctor Strange 2, my lovely assistant is going to... So no bad questions.
And I found that to be a good moment. But there was this story Lee Cronin said where he was on a plane going somewhere for the movie, and Glenn Howerton was there because I think they were like doing something related to the Blackberry movie. And Glenn Howerton was like, "Oh, you're the guy making the new Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2 is the reason I got into movies. Like the reason that he got into acting and producing and everything was because he saw Evil Dead 2 as a kid."
Man, I'm excited for that Blackberry movie.
So I got two little tidbits. One's a prop I want to share here because I forgot to do that earlier. I work at a movie theater now, so I got this big-ass poster.
Yo, nice.
It looks f***ing great. But I want to talk about my story seeing this yesterday for a second time.
Okay, good. I was hoping you would bring this up.
Yeah, okay, so this was a very f***ing beautiful second screening of this. So yesterday I saw it in a packed theater. There were unfortunately f***ing children in there, which was why please don't f***ing bring your kids to these. But that's not the story I want to tell. And the story I want to tell was about the guy to my left. So we're just watching the movie all nice and fine. Everything's going all right. And then like shit's like starting to really hit the fan of the movie. And then after a certain point, the guy to my left just kind of starts sobbing. Like he is like quietly sobbing to himself, and he's like reacting to like everything like that's happening on screen, that like all the violence, with just doing this and like shaking, and he's just like sobbing the whole way f***ing through. And I'm just like, I mean, I get it. I feel bad for the guy, and he's at least being quiet about it, but like I'm honestly kind of proud of him too, because he stayed through the whole movie, but he was not having a good time at all. It was honestly kind of a beautiful thing to witness.
We stand a king.
They're just kids.
I hope he went and got like some Cold Stone after this. Like if a movie f***ed me up that bad, I want some ice cream.
Wait, I know that guy. He does PR for a cheese grater company. He's their
God.
PR guy. Oh no.
So, the cheese grater. Can we all admit, we thought it was probably going to be a lot more intense than it actually was?
Yeah, I heard that like the people who got to see the premiere, it like hit much harder for them because it wasn't in the Red Band trailer that hadn't come out yet. So when that hit, it was like, ooh, but knowing it's coming, it's just kind of like, yeah, no, I mean that is painful to watch.
I still think it's icky.
Like it's still gross, but it could have been worse.
What kind of moments made you guys kind of go do the whole...
Oh, for me, it was when she swallowed the glass.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, I definitely, everything with them, I was like, oh.
That's probably the most like, ugh.
Yeah, because, the thing with the scissors.
That's something else I wanted to bring up is something that was kind of interesting that I picked up on is that it feels much more like in this movie they're trying to spread the Deadite-ism vampirically, like they're trying to get their DNA in people.
I dig it.
Like I do appreciate like what they did in the other ones where it's just like it's gonna enter you, there's not much you can do about it.
The camera hits you in the face with it.
I do like how it kind of feels like there's more rules here, but they're still going ham with it.
For me, the thing that made me cringe the most was when Danny, the son, was trying to do like DJ scratches over an LCD sound system song. That was just ruinous.
That was pretty f***ed up.
That's what made this a horror movie.
Deserved.
This had the best title card I've seen all year.
Yes, the title card was great.
Beautiful.
I do love that the Evil Dead reboots each have a title card that goes hard as Like the 2013 one, it just big crazy moment, and then this one, it's just it fucking comes up behind the trees as she's coming out of the water.
Speaking of the title card, do we think that the next Evil Dead movie is going to follow that group, like at the cabin?
Oh, I don't think so, because it felt like 2 of their 3 is already dead.
Yeah.
It felt like it kind of wrapped up by the title card.
Yeah, it did feel like kind of a one-off, but like it would be interesting to see,
because it's out there now. Like the Deadite, it's out there.
Yeah, it would be neat to see something with that Deadite.
As cool as that opening title card is, I do love how they kind of just did a thing so they could have the movie start at a cabin.
And it was a triangle cabin. I love a good triangle building. Very Midsummer.
It was weird, though, just seeing that cabin all over the trailers when I'm just like, is this supposed to be in a high-rise apartment? What the f***?
There are a lot of people out there, I think including Chris Stuckman, who are like, oh, that was like probably like a thing the studio asked for, was like, oh, it's Evil Dead, you gotta have a cabin in the woods. But that was actually in Lee Cronin's first draft. He wanted to like put some cabin in his Evil Dead movie. He wanted a little taste of what they had before. That's been in there since, day one. Also, they had to shoot this film in chronological order because they destroyed the set as they went along. And we all know how painful it is to shoot a feature in chronological order. So it took them like 96 days to film this or something stupid. They had to do so much bullshit so they could account for how much they were gonna destroy the set.
That reminds me how in Groundhog's Day they had to cut a scene because they f***ed up the hotel, ruined that take, and they couldn't fix it again.
Yeah, sometimes art department can't put it back the way it was without a lot more money than you have.
Can I get a PA to rebuild the set?
A PA to set? Can we get a rebuild?
That is kind of going down the same route as the 2013 one. They shot most of that in chronological order just so they could get the blood continuity right, because they're just spraying it everywhere.
Oh Lord, it's spraying everywhere.
I remember I'm watching the movie and I'm watching all the kids get messed up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe everyone's getting infected. But then I'm like, wait a minute, this is an Evil Dead movie. They all do that.
This one almost feels more dangerous because it's not in a secluded
it's all kids.
area. It's all kids and it's not in a secluded area. It's somewhere much more urban.
No, because I came home and I take an elevator to get up to my apartment room and I kind of didn't want to get in the elevator.
Yeah.
Taking the stairs on this one, Chief.
Yeah.
I unironically avoided elevators at work for the next week.
Why don't I take the stairs?
Speaking of elevators, something that I've noticed about the Evil Dead franchise is they've somehow tried to make a more tasteful version of the tree scene, and yet somehow making it even more f***ed up. That's how I felt about the elevator scene in this.
And interestingly enough, she had the vine tattoos on her legs and arms too.
Yeah.
I thought that was an allusion to the scene from Evil Dead 1.
Yeah.
I was way more chill with this one because it's you don't need to see it, and I think that's what makes it scarier.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what I don't like about the Evil Dead 2013 one is it's why did you have to do that? And you made it more gross and more weird. It's
yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need it. It's it's scary if you don't see it. So whatever, but that's a woman's opinion.
That's fair.
What this movie needed was what Evil Dead 2 had. It needed to just have all of the cables tie her up and then just send her shooting into the woods with explosions coming out of the ground.
The elevator just falls. I also really dig how this movie does it different with the recording. Of course, they make it a vinyl record that some emo kids dude, it's a record. Don't pass the goth kid the aux.
It's a 78 too, a really weird type of record where most people don't have a machine that plays that revolutions per minute. So they have to do the thing with the hand. I bet the audio mixer had a lot of fun pitching that up and down and stuff.
They did bring up in that recording that there are 3 volumes of the Notre Andamanto, which is that sort of plays into this idea of maybe everything could be interconnected because you have the one from the original trilogy, you have the one from the 2013 one, and then you have this one with the Teefs.
I know the Lee Cronin was talking about it and he was saying each book has a different personality. I like that.
I think the color contacts on the demons is like different for each book. I think that might be a thing they did for each film, is like each book makes your eyes transform into some kind of different thing.
Yeah, maybe we don't put glass in people's eyes anymore. That didn't work out so great the first time.
What are you, Union?
Yeah, this Deadite gives them Sith Lord eyes.
All right, it's time for the long-awaited return of Tim's Trivia Time. Let's go.
TTT! Trouble in Terrorist Town!
Oh my god.
All right.
It's a video game.
So we're going to start with a fun one. According to Cronin, 6,500 liters, or around 1,720 gallons of fake blood was used for this film.
Oh, yes.
The pizza place is called Henrietta's, a reference to Henrietta Noby from Evil Dead 2. Each of the characters in the film are named after actors from the previous films. Some examples include Beth after Elizabeth Blackmore from the 2013 film, Ellie after Ellen Sandweiss from the original film, and Cassie after Cassie Wesley DePaiva from Evil Dead 2. This is a fun one. Alyssa Sutherland took inspiration for her alternate personality performance from Jim Carrey in The Mask, which, reading that, I can see it. And finally, this is the only Evil Dead film to not feature the 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royale. However, the chainsaw is apparently the same color as the Oldsmobile Delta. So yeah, that's gonna do it for trivia. What are our final thoughts? We'll start with Toni.
I was going to say, before my final thoughts, I think it's cool. Well, like, interesting how this is the first Evil Dead movie where the first one that gets possessed isn't like a girlfriend. Like, it's the mom.
Yeah.
And so, this was like a breath of fresh air. Because I'm kind of like trying to get out of my comfort zone with scary, and this was the perfect gateway for that. Like, it was scary enough to where I was like having a good time and not traumatized, and it just reminded me so much of the other Evil Dead movies. It's just like, I love the 90-minute runtime. It was just like good, simple fun, and I feel like we needed that because I saw Beau was Afraid the night before, and this is a lot better. Go see this instead of Beau was Afraid.
Yeah, do see this instead of Beau was Afraid.
Well, I'll recommend both. But Beau was Afraid is definitely a divisive one. We'll get into that later.
You should watch this one because it's half as long.
That is true. It is. That's true. A fact. Tanner, final thoughts.
I think it's so cool that Sam Raimi keeps putting the car he lost his virginity in his movies. Just absolute baller. Just wanted to get that off my chest.
We stand a king.
Otherwise, dare I say, before Tim or Joe can say it, movie groovy.
Oh my god!
Tanner beat us to it.
Joe, final thoughts.
90-minute movies are back, baby. This was a f***ing incredible time at the theater. Hopefully, if you go see it, which I recommend that you do, you don't see it with children in the audience. Lee Cronin, he was asking what they should do next for another Evil Dead movie, and I want to put this out into the world, and I will write it once the writer's strike is over, because I don't want to be a scab writer. An Evil Dead Christmas. I will write it. Lee, call me.
There we go.
Go Riders! Woo! WGA support!
Stamp of approval.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Here's $1,000, kid.
Austin, final thoughts.
You know, besides the title, this actually kind of reminds me of The Dark Knight Rises. Compared to the movies coming out right now in general, it's pretty fantastic, but compared to the movies from this franchise, it left a few things to be desired on my end. Probably a personal thing, though. I'm sure most people are going to absolutely adore this movie, so go see it while it's in theaters.
Fair enough. All right. My final thoughts. I think it's a great time. If you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll get a lot out of it. If you just like horror, I'm sure you'll have a fun time. If you're new to horror, maybe start elsewhere, but this is a good one. And you know who else is a good one?
Who?
Lily Sullivan, but that's besides the point. Thank you for tuning in. Toni, thanks for joining us once again. Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I will plug my Instagram and my TikTok. I'm at introducing_Toni on both of those. And I recently won some awards for a animated music video I did. So you should check that out on my YouTube channel. And I'm almost done working on a really cool project that if you follow me on TikTok, you'll know what it is. But I'm only like 2 scenes away from finishing it, so.
Nice.
Oh my god.
I checked out her music video. It f***ing rocks.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Hold on. Let me pull them up, because I've got my awards.
Ooh,
damn!
Nice.
The Tensies. I love
The
that.
Tensies.
Me when I'm elected governor of Tennessee.
All right.
I'm Mr. Tenzi.
That's going to do it for this episode of Bomb Squad Movie Night. Thank you for tuning in. If you are listening on any of the audio platforms, interact with it in some way, shape, or form. If you're watching this on Spotify video, I'm sure you enjoyed hearing all of our fucking disgusting language. How about you throw us a couple $dollars on Patreon? We got some stuff coming up. It'll be real cool. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below and let us know. What did you think of Evil Dead Rise? How do you think it compares to the 2013 reboot? What do you think of the Evil Dead franchise in all? Should Alyssa Sutherland play the mask in the next movie? Comment below and let us know. And while you're down there...
The answer is yes.
Make it the comic accurate mask, and yes.
While you're down there, hit the like button if you like the video, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and hit the bell icon so that the Deadites can enter your home. Tune in next week for the newest film from another horror director, hosted by Joe.
Yes, next week we're going back to my favorite filmmaker. We're talking James Gunn, and we're talking about his latest opus, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Go check it out when it comes out.
Hell yeah, gonna be a good time. Thank you once again for tuning in, and remember, what will be. Farewell.
So you got the mask, son of the mask, and here's what I'm thinking: mom of the mask.
Oh my god.
Mommy of the mask.
Mommy of the mask!
Brilliant ideas in
Mommy's
this chat.
got the mask now.
They got mask now?
I love that stuff, the killing.
A lot of killing.
I slid my ticket across the table and I said, sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl.